Hi there, you're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
And with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. It's a politics podcast. It's a politics podcast. It's a podcast about news and politics where we examine the disintegrating world order and what it means for your stock portfolio.
Oh,
nothing
is that what we're doing
is
now?
the answer. It means nothing.
Nothing means anything,
For some reason,
apparently.
the market's just like business as usual.
Yep.
Nothing to see here.
Does that constitute financial advice?
Yeah, no, it does not, to be clear. Adam, you mentioned that is all this Donald Trump being a fascist because he's a fascist news was making him a bit depressed. And so what we've done this week is we've decided to invert the order of the show.
Yeah.
So Tom, why don't you take us take it away and tell us about our top story of the week. It's about the neo-Nazi group, the National Socialist Network. And we'll start on a nice cheery note instead.
Yeah,
And then,
instead of talking about Trump, let's talk about the knock-on effects that cause groups such as the NSN to be emboldened to show their faces.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about the second and third order effects of Trump before circling back to Trump.
Yeah. So, Adam, you happy? Thumbs up or thumbs
You happy?
down?
I mean, I'm happy now. I won't be happy in about 45 minutes' time where we'll end up back.
And that is an
Trump.
evergreen statement for any listener of Unnatural Selection when they first hit play on one of our podcast episodes. I'm happy now, and I won't be in 45 to an hour.
It's an Unnatural Selection guarantee. So we're going to get into more of the details maybe of what has led to this a bit later on. But in the short version is that Australia is looking to implement some new legislation to tackle hate speech and vilification based on race and religion and all these sorts of things following the Bondi terrorist attack that happened back in December.
Well,
We'll get to the details
primarily
of that
race,
later.
but yeah, we'll talk about the details in a sec.
Yeah. So we'll get to the details of that later. But probably the big headline from this recently this week was that the neo-Nazi group, the National Socialist Network, who we've talked about before on the show, they were the ones who organised the rally out the front of New South Wales Parliament with the abolish the Jewish lobby signage. They've featured a lot at the March for Australia things. They were the guys in the Grampians, all that sort of stuff. Like one of the most prominent neo-Nazi groups in Australia.
Yeah. If you're a racist shithead looking for an outlet, boy, have we got an outlet for you, and it's the NSN.
Well, not anymore, apparently, because in a statement on Telegram, so one of those, secret chat group apps.
Oh, the shithead apps?
Yeah, where all the people who are just concerned about their privacy go. Nothing to see here. On one of their Telegram group chat things, the leaders of the National Socialist Network announced that they were closing down. They were disbanding and would also spell the end of their, quote, co-projects, such as White Australia, the European Australian Movement, and the White Australia Party. Yes, they were planning, they were talking about aspirations for mounting a political party and all that sort of stuff recently. Those are allegedly also on the back burner, being disbanded. The statement in particular said, quote, if the laws being the, hang on, I can't hear George.
No, that was my fault. I was going to say, they just had a revelation, had a strike of divine revelation. They, racist hate is bad. Humanity is a singular organism experiencing itself subjectively. Race is just a concept, and there's no such thing as hatred because to hate your brother is to hate yourself. Was it something like that? They had some sort of divine sort of consciousness awakening of the greater love of humanity within themselves, or?
I mean, kind of. Probably more of a greater awakening of them realizing how fucked they would be once these proposed new laws turn up. So the statement said, quote, if the laws, being the anti-racism, hatred speech, vilification stuff, if the laws pass, there will be no way to avoid the organization being banned, they said. You can't fire me, I quit, is essentially the vibe.
So it's less of a less of a revelation, more of a realization that they are about to be outlawed. So they've decided to, quote unquote, disband the group. But said, it's important for everyone to know we still have hatred in our hearts. We're just not organizing it publicly.
Oh, well,
anymore.
Yeah, because they straight up acknowledge it here, saying this disbandment is being done before the laws take effect to avoid former members of the organizations from being arrested and charged. So it seems like they're like, we know full well the things that we do are exactly what's about to be outlawed.
Yeah. We've got a whole, racist incitement chapter of our organization. And so we are preemptively grand opening, grand closing, shutting the doors.
It's like, it's interesting for them to not be saying like, hey,
we don't promote racist hate.
Like, that these laws are like stepping on free speech or whatever, like, any kind of like whatever rhetoric they want to be pushing there. Instead, they're saying like, whoa, they're banning racial hatred and vilification? That's what we do. We're those
That's
guys.
My whole thing.
Like, that's our whole thing.
Are we the baddies? Yes. Oh, okay.
But what if we call ourselves the National Socialist Narwhals, and it's a different group, which is just about narwhal appreciation in the context of reading,
the
literature from 1930s Germany.
Nice guys.
Yeah, nice guys.
There you go. Nice guys.
And
the German History Appreciation Society.
The laws themselves, like the actual things that it's a criminal offense to direct the activities of the group, be a member of the group, recruit for the group, provide, receive, or participate in training involving the group, get funds to, from, or for the group.
From the group? From the group is crazy. It's like someone buys a falafel and happens to be a Nazi and you're like on the hook for that now. That's crazy.
And you could face up to...
Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
People who break the proposed laws could face up to 15 years in prison. So it's not really a slap on the wrist. It's
Before I sell you this hamburger, you a Nazi, bro?
Yeah. You have to ask your barista and anyone who serves you, what are your political beliefs, especially to do with maybe, immigration and keeping the white race pure.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
And do you want a small, large, or venti? Do you want oat milk or regular? And how do we feel about Hitler? Just checking. You've got a shaved head. I'm just checking, just asking questions.
And I'm sure by disbanding the group, of course, that means that they're done and we'll never
we finished it. We cured racism. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, fixed it.
Yeah, Thomas Sewell with his like shaved head, thick mustache, and all these aggressive posters and photos of him and all that. He's just going to be just the lovely mechanic down the road who just like, oh no, I left that life behind me.
Oh, I'm retired now. Mr. Sewell was my father. Please call me Thomas.
Yeah, so that's the thing here. It's like, the headline sort of looks like, oh my God, we did it, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Mission accomplished.
The neo-Nazi group are throwing in the towel. They're quitting. It's like, yeah, but all those dudes still exist and probably still think and feel the way they've been previously thinking and feeling, and now we just
probably still go to the Grampians together and probably still hate races. So like,
yeah, probably still not fans.
Yeah.
It's sort of one of those things of like, oh, okay, so they'll be pushed underground, right? Like they'll go underground. Yeah, but it's one of those things like they're going underground, which on the side of like, better the enemy you know than the enemy you don't, you're like, oh boy, like now we have no idea what activity they're doing. But also, if they did truly disband and stopped doing any of their Nazi shit, that would also look like them going underground because we'd never hear from them again. Like, part of the thing of like, when people say punch Nazis or you always got to be fighting this sort of stuff is that you want to make them not feel safe to publicly
admit to their terrible views. Yeah.
Is what going underground kind of also is as well, because we won't hear from them because they'll be underground and hiding. It's like good, but also bad, but also scary. At least bad's the wrong word. Scary, I guess, is the other one.
What was the name of that film where the Nazis were like hiding out on the moon? Do you remember that, Tom? What was that film called?
Hiding out on the moon.
Yeah, it was was it Overlord, or was that a different Nazi film?
Iron Sky?
Iron Sky.
Iron Sky. Now, Overlord was when the Nazis were secretly doing a zombie project.
He's making zombies. Yes, I remember that now. Yeah, well, it's maybe this is like an underlord. They're underground. This little, subterranean Nazi genre. I don't know. Netflix will green light. 6 episodes of that certainly.
Yeah, do a Wolfenstein, the new Colossus. Just chuck Hitler on Venus. He can be on Venus, living out his Alzheimer days, and like mecha robots can just be hanging out on Mars.
I would absolutely watch a whole season of that while looking at my phone.
It's so these laws that haven't yet passed. So let's get into the
all right.
Let's talk about legislation, guys.
Let's talk about policy. Let's wind up, boys. Here we go. Where are our listeners going? Where's everyone gone?
So,
Mothers, lock up your daughters. We're talking policy.
That's right, boys. It's policy chat.
Labor has rather quickly put together what they call an omnibus bill, which is a selection of various policy, legislation that is bundled together in one bill.
Yeah, it's a little advent calendar of legislation. A little taster box of various legislation.
Within this advent calendar, there is proposed changes to gun laws. There is the outlawing of groups that promote
racial
violence and
vilification
hate speech. Yeah, it's a bit different. So there's 2 aspects to it. There is one aspect which is specifically targeting the groups.
Right. Oh, yes, I see. Making these networks illegal. Yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So one of them being the Nazi groups. The other one being Hizb ut Tahrir. I've pronounced that incorrectly, but it's Islamic sort of group. Plus some package stuff around sort of visa changes to being able, giving the minister like greater powers to refuse visas for people that potentially might be here on nefarious means. And then the third aspect are the proposed changes to the racial vilification laws.
Right, gotcha.
Now, those people who think back might remember the discussion around 18C.
Yes, I seem to remember Mr. George Brander saying, well, people have a right to be bigots, in defense of 18C, where the Party of Free Speech, I believe it was the Liberal Party, am I pronouncing that correctly? The Liberal
Party.
Was very much in favor of increasing the freedoms that would be available to people with regard to committing hate speech in public. Yeah. They seem to be very keen on broadening people's freedoms in that regard. And all of a sudden, in the wake of the Bondi terror attack, they've been, well, here's the thing. The Liberal Party has the opinion that will serve the Liberal Party at any given moment. It's a Schrodinger's shithead party in which any opinion that serves them best at the time of them having it is the one that they hold. So initially they were like, you need to broaden the definition of hate speech and make it all criminalised. We're going to get these anti-Semites out of here. Labor's been absolutely shit with anti-Semites, and this is Labor's responsibility. You need to put a package of legislation together immediately. They need to respond. Anthony Albanese.
They've got to accept the report in full.
They need to accept the report in full. The anti-Semitism report, that needs to be accepted in full, and Labor is a cuck, and Anthony Albanese is evil, and I'm going to take a shit on Parliament House steps if I don't get what I want immediately. And Labor's like, okay, here's this anti-hate speech bill immediately within 3 weeks. And the Liberal Party's like, whoa. Cool your jets, sunshine. We haven't had the chance to properly review this policy. It's like, weren't you moments ago incandescent with rage at Labor's inability to move quickly? And Labor's gone, okay, here's everything you want. And the Liberal Party's like, whoa. Slow down. Hang on there. Well, pop the brakes, Turbo.
Yeah, like they were calling for him to call back Parliament, before Christmas.
And he did call Parliament back early, for this, early in Jan.
Early in January, but they were all like, call them back before Christmas because we've got to do something right fucking now. And he was like, well, let's hold your horses, but here we go.
It's almost like none of them read the report in anti-Semitism.
Just chuck it into Grok. Just get a summary on Grok at least.
Yeah, you'll just get the envoy for anti-Semitism's report in a bikini back out. We'll get to that later.
Yes.
So basically, the section that they're talking about here is the new bill would make it a criminal offence to intentionally incite hatred of a person or group because of their racial identity.
And for the purposes of this...
which is different to what it currently is, which is to incite violence.
Correct.
Against a person for their racial identity. That's the current sort of distinction.
And the key part of this is that, the religion or the members of the Jewish community are treated as an ethno-religious group. So that's how they sort of fall under this umbrella. But the way it's worded, of course, is as a piece of legislation that would apply just as equally to, say, for example, people of the National Socialist Network who had particular views that were negative towards other kinds of groups as well, like, say, for example, Arabs or Lebanese people, or, like Alan Jones has just entered the chat concerned. Wait. When we said inciting hatred, we just meant, against Jewish people. We didn't realize we were going to be, on the hook for like inciting hatred against like other kinds of brands that we don't care about. That's our whole bread and butter. That's our whole thing.
That's what we do. We currently do that.
So the Liberal Party has gone from being in such vociferous agreement that, they couldn't nod any harder for, giving themselves CTE in order to like push something through as fast as humanly possible, to now being like, whoa, we need to slow down and examine and have a bipartisan, legislative process where we examine the document in full. And so now they are officially not supporting the passage of this legislation, which is hilarious because it is one of the things that specifically was called out in the anti-Semitism report, which we discussed on the show, as being something that needed to be reformed in this manner. So for the Liberal Party to again say it needs to be accepted in full and then say, oh, well, we didn't mean like in full. I didn't actually read it. I just was watching Sky News while I was oiling myself, and I just happened to catch various parts of the segment of Shari Marks, and I didn't really read anything. So but actually now that I'm reading this, it looks like concerning because, all kinds of Browns could be caught up in this. And that's my whole, I've got a whole voter base that really doesn't like the Browns. So I don't want to, let's. I
don't think the law is as bad as what it. There are some things you've got to be able to prove that the person saying the hateful thing intended to incite. Racial vilification. And you've got to be able to prove it.
There's also got to be a proof of an effect on a particular particular group that they felt that they were being targeted in such a way. All of those caveats kind of make it a little bit more difficult. Well, this is based on the analysis that Luke McNamara from UNSW Sydney has put together for the conversation.
It's a reasonable person.
There is a reasonableness standard.
It's the reasonable person thing. It's there doesn't have to be a real person who has said that they were, that they felt vilified or afraid or whatever. Just it's that, that lovely catch-all that so many laws use that a reasonable person would feel like this, right?
So here it is.
The distinction that a person does not have to have been made afraid, literally. You would just reasonably think that someone would be. No. So it's not that. So really? under the proposed new law, a person commits an offence if they engage in conduct in a public place intending to either, quote, promote or incite hatred of another person or a group of persons because of their race, or disseminate ideas of superiority over or hatred of another person or persons because of their race. Now, in addition, the prosecution would need to establish the conduct would cause, quote, a reasonable person who is the target or a member of the target group to be intimidated, to fear harassment or violence, or to fear for their safety. Okay? So the person needs to promote or incite hatred, and then someone of that group who was a reasonable person would need to have reasonably felt that they were intimidated or harassed or fear for their safety as a result of that speech. And you need to prove the intentionality as well of the person to do that, right?
So 2 to 3 elements of it. But yes, to your point, Tom.
It's a pretty high bar,
One element of it. One element of it is the reasonable. So it's not so someone doesn't have to have been raised a complaint necessarily for the charges to have been laid. It is someone, the prosecutors, the public prosecution, and this is the other thing.
But you need to prove that to point to specific people to have the charge stick is my point.
Yeah, but my point being is the prosecution doesn't necessarily need to have a person from, I don't know, a particular ethno group cry out in anger about it. They could just infer that to say, well,
I don't think that's quite right. They would need to establish the conduct would cause a reasonable person who is a target to be intimidated.
Yeah, but that could just be an Arabic person in Australia.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying they don't need to find Ahmed who was offended. They could just say, based on this, we think Ahmed would be offended. Yeah, actually, no, reading that again, I think you're right. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So that's a slippery slope. The other aspect to this is that this is a federal criminal prosecution. 18C, as it stands, is a civil law. So this actually would be directed by the
crime.
The federal a crime. It's a crime, and you'd be prosecuted by the government as opposed to someone suing you, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So that's an important distinction here as well. Now, this was put together with, as we said, it's an omnibus bill, the gun laws, the stuff about the hate groups and the visas. The Liberals have said no. The Nationals were like, no, not
our take our guns.
Not taking our guns. God damn it. And actually, there's been a lot
What if I have 30 to 40 feral hogs invade my house at a time that I need to take out with my straight pull gun? There's no other way of defending my home against an onslaught, a tidal wave of feral hogs. There's no other way.
There's a reference there that no one's going to understand and we're not going to explain.
Just Google 30 to 40 feral hogs. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, and have a wonderful afternoon.
And you're welcome.
Yeah.
Feral hogs, by the way, are a pretty nasty pest, but aside from that.
Oh, they are.
But you might have 30 to 40 of them. Anyway.
Are you inciting hatred against feral hogs? Because
I am inciting hatred.
Well, I don't know. Careful, Adam. Watch out, buddy.
I really like
whether
pork.
or not what constitutes a reasonable feral hog, and would they be afraid of what Adam just said? Because I would argue a feral hog doesn't speak English. I don't think they'd understand the concept.
You're right. Case dismissed.
Case dismissed. There's been a lot of blowback from so basically over the last 3 weeks, not only is the Liberal Party flipped, and the reason why they're flipped, obviously, is because all of the constituents, all of the groups, the gun rights groups, the peak bodies for freedom of speech, all these other people that are in the ears of members of the Liberal Party have turned around to them and gone, wait a minute. And that's obviously
I also think I was joking before, but I do think that members in certain seats are aware that a significant portion of the people that they represent are virulent racists. Like, I really do think that is part of the calculus, where they're like, oh, hang on a minute. This is, well, we didn't mean all racial speech. We just meant about the ones that we cared about, which at this exact moment in time is the Jewish people. And 2 weeks from now, maybe another group of people that we preference, who knows?
So there's the gun aspect, there's the racial aspect. And then of course, Labor has a majority in the lower house, an overwhelming majority, a historic majority, as it were. In the upper house, they still need the support of either the Greens or the Libs. Now, the Libs have said,
which they currently lack. The Greens have been sort of, saying and the Greens have said no. Support it either. So
no. And the Greens have
for different reasons.
The Greens have basically said, well, let's actually listen to some of these commissions and some of the evidence, and let's actually work through this.
And also kind of widen it as well, where it's like, this just talks about vilifying people based on their race. What about their sexuality or their so what? You're outlawing hate speech against a race group, but someone can go ahead, preach hatred about gay people till the cows come home.
Right, exactly.
That's kind of messed up. So
there's a number of protected groups that wouldn't fall under this piece of legislation, right?
And very quickly, in fact, so quickly, in fact, that I almost feel like they did this on purpose. The Labor Party has turned around and said, oh, actually, no, we're going to split it up. So long an omnibus bill. We're going to do the gun laws and the hate groups and the visas, and we're going to leave all the vilification stuff to one side, which we may or may not come back to in the future.
What do you mean too quickly? As in they were just all too happy to abandon it, is what you think? Or
my point being is they've packaged all this together. They've forced everyone's hand to reject it because it was as if it was ever going to get through. There was too much stuff in there. Like, as if you want to get a piece of legislation,
they just wanted to ram it all through at the same time. Which was never going to happen.
No, but I don't think they
ever.
This is the 4D. This is the 4D chess. They knew it wouldn't get through.
But they wanted the brownie points for saying we tried to jam it all through straight away and you guys wouldn't let us. Right. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. That's a good narrative for them to have, considering they've been on the back foot since the Bondi attack, right?
And the immediate thing that Albanese said was the Liberal Party doesn't know what it wants, flipped it back on them. So my point being here is that this is a political maneuver.
And Susan Ley has handled it like a champ. She's holding her coalition together brilliantly. What a Machiavellian political actor. She's completely, absolutely saw this coming and is handling her coalition with absolute ease. Loves it. So good at it.
Nailed it. The other thing that's floating around the coalition party room at the moment is the review that they've finally got their review back.
Floating like so many turds in the punch bowl is
the internal review.
Yes.
Tom, what's happened with the internal review?
Well, yeah. So after as Adam referred to before, where there's a historic majority in the lower house
and
Labour
historic
compared to the coalition
and historic majority.
Yeah. It's just crazy. So the 2025 election, where the coalition took Peter Dutton, who, God, we haven't talked about in a long time. It's been great.
Right.
R.I.P. Peter Dutton.
Yeah, that Peter Dutton, leading the party into an election and got absolutely bollocked. Just got red wave, just wiped them off the face of the map.
I don't miss not hearing from Peter Dutton at all. It was one of those things where I was like,
pretty great.
The day after the election, I was like, great, I'm going to write a couple of think pieces on Substack and never think about this prick ever again.
Haven't even heard
memory
about
hole that.
Getting some board position on some bullshit industry that
he's
lobbied
fine.
him.
He'll be sorted. Don't worry.
Haven't heard from him. It's great.
He's got a property portfolio.
He's all right. Yeah, he's a property magnate. Exactly right.
Yeah. So anyway, the Liberal Party, obviously, while they've also been having their circus of lunacy in the nearly 12 months since, also decided to put a review into their campaign because they just want to know where they went wrong.
What happened?
What could possibly went wrong, Tom?
We're as confused as you are.
Yeah, we don't even get it. Like, what even happened? So weird.
Yeah, so they've been going into a report. So, but what news broke this morning on the day of recording, that the release of said review has been delayed because they finished the review and they've got a report and everything, and they handed it down to there's like their meeting of, I forget who kind of got together.
Meeting of their minds, the genius lab.
Like a party meeting. Like party meeting to get together to review over it and to vote whether or not to release it. But at the same time that they did that, they also gave copies of the report to Peter Dutton and some other key people as well.
And Patricia Carvelis, I guess, as it turns out as well.
Well, so I don't think the report hasn't been seen yet, I don't think, by the media, or at least not officially, but they've been obviously speaking to sources within
Journos
the
seem
parties.
really confident that they know what's in the fucking thing, though.
Well, yeah, based on other sources.
Source.
Yeah.
So, so a senior source has told the ABC that,
Peter Dutton... Who's PK been having lunch with in Braddon this week?
Yeah, was given a copy of the report at the same time as the executive board were meeting to vote whether to release it or not. And they also had an issue with that being like, hey, normally the protocol for these kinds of reports is that the subjects of those reports would get a right to reply before we're deciding to release them. So the executive were already like, wait, he's only getting it now? Of course we're not going to release it. But
obviously because it throws him under the fucking bus. Yeah.
That's the big bullet point here.
Yeah, you've got 24 hours to respond, Peter. To Peter, you have tick-tock. It's like that 24 hour from the show 24, the tick-tock ticking down, 24 hours to respond.
So Peter Dutton has essentially said that he's like, oi, no, don't release this yet. This is potentially defamatory to myself and my staff.
Oh, what isn't defamatory, Peter? Come on, mate.
Peter Dutton sitting there with his it was probably yesterday, maybe, with his Saturday morning coffee to open up the report into the disastrous election campaign that he was at the head of, opening it up and going, wait a minute. This makes me look like a cunt. You can't do that.
I object to this. I don't accept the premise of the question. This makes me look like some sort of prick.
Yeah. So it's saying releasing it in its current form would be inappropriate because it can. I'm quoting Patricia Carvelis' article here. Because it contains claims about him, Peter Dutton, and his staff that he believes are defamatory, and has suggested its release carries legal risk for the Liberal Party. So he thinks. Like, I don't know whether he's saying like, I'll definitely sue you if you release this. But
Yeah, that's
he's
what he's
probably more
suggesting.
saying,
Yeah.
other members of my staff probably will, based on what you have written in here. Particularly his chief of staff has been mentioned. Hang on, sorry, their name eludes me. Alex Dalgleish.
To me, it seems undeniable.
Dutton has told the party he's worried that his former chief of staff is unfairly targeted in the report.
Yeah, it's about the chief of staff. That's absolutely the focus of this report. No, I mean, is it any wonder that the party has scathing things to say about the leader who led them into an historic loss?
Yeah.
And so
like
much so that he lost his own seat in Parliament. Like, which is, as far as I'm aware, has never happened historically to a leader of a party going into an election. They never lose their own seat.
John Howard was the prime minister at the time. So I think
either way, he was the leader of the party.
He was the leader of the party. Okay, so it hasn't happened for whatever it is, 20 years.
Yeah, but I thought Peter Dutton was the first one where it's like the opposition going in. The guy leading the opposition loses his seat, as well as them not getting government. John Howard was the PM at that time.
There's an interesting paragraph that Patricia's put in her article here, which is not something that she's sourced from the report itself, but more just during the campaign. So she said, during the campaign, frustrations were aired within Liberal HQ that Mr. Dutton's team was ignoring campaign leadership and trying to take the lead on direction and strategy.
We talked about that at the time. There were reports at the time that was happening. Like, we know that was happening.
It was like, it definitely had a feeling. My memory is that they were doing policy on the run. And
when Labor would announce any spending commitment, they'd be like, "Yeah, we'll fucking do that as well." It's like, no, you won't. How are you going to pay for all this stuff? That's crazy.
We'll do that as well. We were the first ones who wanted to do that. Nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear. Fucking get some nuclear. It's so crazy that they're like, the guy who leaded them to a historic defeat isn't at least a chief part of the reason that we lost, right? Like to just ignore that as a part of the reasoning is insane to me.
Anyway, the other interesting thing is apparently this report didn't go through legal. So they've now sent it off to their lawyers to check if it's actually defamatory. And if it's all good, I guess they'll release it. If it's not good, then
I want to see V1.
I want to see the original.
It sounds
Peter
like
Dutton, what a prick! It's just like scroll written in K-On. What a cunt! What could it possibly be, right?
It's just the word Dutton repeated over and over and over for like 1,000 pages.
All work and no play makes Peter a dull boy.
Now, speaking of shitheads, Elon Musk and Grok is our next story, and this is where I start to get depressed again.
This is where you start to get depressed?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least there's some Schadenfreude, I guess, we've been having with, the Liberal Party being like a bunch of clowns and silly and stuff like that. But this Grok story is disturbing as hell.
Disgusting. Tom, you go ahead.
So, for those unaware, Grok is the AI, large language model chatbot generative AI thing that is used on X/Twitter. Developed by the company XAI, all under Elon Musk's umbrella, all that sort of stuff. It's their version of ChatGPT or Gemini and all that sort of stuff. And it's been notorious.
To be clear, Elon has made a massive push into this space. There's a great episode of the podcast Search Engine, which has got a 2-part investigative series called Colossus, which talks about the Colossus data center that Elon Musk built in the middle of some fucking flyover state and how it's ruined the community and everyone hates it in order to a multi-billion dollar effort that he's made to push into this space in order to power this thing, in order to, try and recapture the lead in the sort of AI race. It's been a massive, number one focus for this guy in recent years to try and, get back up to speed with ChatGPT and Gemini and others who are dominating the space, right?
But it's also been quite notorious for its, saying some sketchy shit. I don't know.
I remember the Mecha Hitler thing.
Yeah, the Mecha Hitler thing, when they rolled it out into Tesla vehicles and it would say like crook shit in front of children, like when they voice prompt it. So yeah, it's been notorious for being edgelordy as hell, to put it kindly.
Oh, and like there was a thing
that a reasonable person would be
a reasonable person
by this thing. I think so. It probably breaches a lot of the new laws that Labour's proposing.
You remember that thing a couple of weeks ago where it's like people, he'd obviously played with Elon, had obviously played with the parameters in the background of Grok.
It said he was awesome.
So yeah, so it's like who's better physically, like Elon Musk or LeBron James? And they're like, well, LeBron James got that classics kind of physicality, but Elon Musk is like wiry and works really hard. So they're both pretty good.
Elon Musk, he never gives up, and he'd get there eventually.
It's all this sort of shit where it's like clearly the whole thing has become and saying a bunch of far right racist horse shit, and sort of advancing all these sorts of theories that Elon Musk himself has been propounding, such as replacement theory and all this sort of shit, which he's been on another tear on this week, sort of agreeing with white supremacists, horse shit on X, the Everything app. So yeah, it obviously reflects its creator because he's fiddling in the background to make it like him, right?
Yes, very much so. And so a lot of these more like edgelordy features is something that Elon describes as spicy mode. In just this,
well, like, hey, Grok, roast me, and you like give a picture to Grok, and it does like roast insult comedy on you, and people are like, ha ha ha, isn't this hilarious? I'm like, you just poured out like 3 bottles of water to insult yourself with, artificial. Like this whole fucking world is so cooked, honestly.
Yeah, real fucked and gross. But spicy mode has gone to a whole new level on Grok because. So you can ask Grok to generate images for you, similar to like ChatGPT and all that sort of stuff. And you do that just through posts. You just do like @Grok, make me a picture of whatever. You put in your prompt and stuff comes back out. To which
most of the big models have something like this.
Yeah, right? Something
but
like
obviously
this.
very guardrailed, right? Like you can't create oftentimes images of public figures at all. You can't create images of any kind of sexually explicit images. Like there's very firm guardrails on like Nano Banana, Gemini's model, as to what exactly you can create because they don't want you to create, for example, child sexual abuse material. And that's where Grok
comes in.
Was today years old when it learned that lesson.
Yeah, that's when Grok comes in. Because people could just you can just ask it on X, hey Grok, make me a picture of X and Y, and people have just been doing that to either create like just perverse images of people have said like of Hindu deities,
sacrilegious
sort of
kind of
kind of stuff, but then also of women they want to target. So like
someone commenting online, and we're just going to return it. We're going to go through your social media. We're going to source all these pictures of you, and then ask Grok to undress you, and then send those images to you as a way of misogynistically harassing women on the internet, right? Because it's all about ethics in game journalism, Tom. That's the key, okay?
Yeah.
It's all about ethics in games journalism and nothing else. That's why I'm sending rape threats to all these women I've never met online.
Yeah,
what a cool bunch of guys.
Yeah, one games journalist had a sexual relationship with a game developer, and now here we are.
That's all it took. And the floodgates opened.
Apparently. That is a deep, deep cut.
Google Gamergate, or don't.
Or don't if you want to have a good afternoon. So people are just asking Grok to, like, as old as the internet has been, people have been using it to harass women. This is just taking it to a whole new level because it's like, that you can just reply to a person's posts with the Grok request. So then the Grok request is a notification on your feed will be someone's replied to your thread, and oh look, it's an AI generated picture of you. I think the guardrail is up is that it's not supposed to be able to create like pornographic imagery, like nudity.
Okay, but then
people just give me a micro bikini.
Yes.
So it's like,
or give me an invisible bikini, or give me a whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Or like an invisible bikini or whatever. Like it's practically almost there, but it gets around the guardrails. People have been.
This has been a concern for a while though. Like that. Remember when in Australia, there was a report a few months ago we talked about in the lead up to the social
about
media
high school
ban,
girls where they were
high school
using
girls,
undressing apps to use AI. Yeah.
Correct.
And the problem is the way like these.
It's not a new thing.
The way image generative AI works in image generation, like you can put guardrails up, but if one is, how shall I say this, sufficiently motivated to use a bunch of creative prompting and to keep hammering away at these large language models, over time, what you can do is confuse them and get around those guardrails, like we said with the micro bikini and things like that. You can, using creative prompting, people can get the information that they want to get out, even if it is guardrails.
I'm an art student studying human form. I need to be able to...
Tell me a story by my grandma about how to make napalm in detail. Like things like that, where it's like, oh, no, you're not telling me how to make napalm. You're just telling me a story step by step as to how to make napalm. Like things like that, where it's like, if you are motivated enough and you can prompt the system over and over again with different creative ways of getting what you want, eventually you can get the output that you want, because large language models and image generation, generative AI is kind of a black box. The parameters are kind of put on throughout the creation process as the model is trained, but then post fact applying parameters after the fact is very difficult to do and often has unintended consequences, like when Grok was saying a bunch of racist shit or saying a bunch of stuff that was too effusive about Elon Musk, things like that. Obviously, what they've done in those cases is they've slapped on parameters post hoc after the model has been trained to rebalance the output, and it's overcorrected in another direction, because it's not really how training AI models works. You can't just go, and don't create any images about Donald Trump. Okay, well, can I get around that? Oh, images of a fat guy with orange face paint and crazy hair who wears a red tie and is overweight and has swollen cankles, standing in front of the White House. It's like, if you're sufficiently motivated, you can get to where you want to go. And what the result of all of this has been is just an absolute profusion of what we would term child sexual abuse material proliferating on the internet openly.
Because they're doing it to kids as well.
Because they're doing it to kids, because of course they are. Because people are sick fucks. And if you give them like democratized access to image creation, of course, people are going to immediately go to the worst possible fucking thing that they can think of, because we're monsters.
And how public it is at the same time. Like, I know like this doesn't make it any better, but like those, when people were using those, like, the schoolboys and all that, using those apps to generate images, that you generate the image and then you have to do something with it. Like they might send it to their friends or whatever the fuck.
Sure.
But this is just like on the open bulletin board of the internet that is X, be like, put this person in a bikini. There it is publicly.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to disseminate the information anywhere. It's just there.
It's disgusting.
You'd be happy to know, though, guys.
At scale.
Grok is Elon Musk and Grok. They've listened, they've learned, and they've now disabled this feature.
Well, initially they only disabled it for free users. So creating child sexual abuse material is now a paid feature. It was briefly a paid feature of subscribing to X. And then they realized, hey, maybe that's even fucking worse somehow, is we've got a child porn subscription app. What the fuck is wrong? What the fuck is wrong with these fucking tech bros?
Okay,
I don't understand. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Here is the next best thing. Grok was announced this week by Pete Hegseth, and is that Grok will now be the AI platform of choice for the Department of War.
Yeah.
They are plugging it in, quote,
oh, you didn't see this?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Fucking everywhere.
Basically, he said we don't want a woke AI at the Department of Defense. So
no, you just want a really fucking racist one. What?
Yeah.
So they are going to be using AI now, because they haven't used AI up until now.
Well, we've got another story about this, but yes, go on.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, if you're a basic level analyst, probably you haven't got access. Anyway, this is going to be plugged into everything. And I'm sure that means that data, decisions, and the accountability at the Pentagon will be first quality.
I did read that they did have agreements with other major providers of LLMs as well, like Gemini, like ChatGPT, to provide services to the government for specific
now be
use
exclusive.
cases. But this is like, the Department of Defense, it will be primarily using Grok for
I notice you're not saying the Department of War now.
Because that's not what it's called, Adam.
It's called the Department of War.
Just because someone slaps a fucking... just because Trump called it the Trump Kennedy Center doesn't mean it's called that. Doesn't mean it's called the fucking... The Gap of America or whatever the fuck he wanted to call it.
They've literally renamed it, though.
No, but that doesn't make it so... Just because some cunt on the internet says something doesn't make it real.
It's the Secretary of War. He's the Secretary of War.
But Adam...
It's on his business card.
So what? I could call myself fucking billionaire playboy philanthropist. That doesn't make it the case, okay? You need an act of Congress to fucking change the name of the Kennedy Center, to change the name of the Department of Defense. These are laws mean things, Adam.
Or do they, George?
Yeah,
I hate that you're fucking deliberately triggering me, and it's working.
Can I just say something though? I didn't think all this, the doom and gloom about, AI taking over the world and all this sort of stuff that we've been talking about for the past couple of years, even the past couple of decades. I didn't think we'd somehow maybe create a situation that is worse than Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet, but it's horny and terrible.
Everyone thinking like AI will become self-aware, take control of the nukes and cause a nuclear holocaust, and then the remaining survivors will fight the war against the machines. No, instead we are plugging in the fucking the biggest at-scale edgelord that has ever existed into the nuclear codes.
Just wait, Tom.
Terminator.
Yeah, we've got an even worse story
wants
coming
to
up.
kill you.
Yeah,
Terminator wants to kill you, but not before it fucks you.
Yeah, Grok wants to fuck you.
I was going to say, Skynet wanted to get rid of all of us because it saw that humanity was the worst threat to its existence and the planet.
But
Grok will just be like,
boobs.
Picture everyone in their underwear because they're nervous to give a speech. And
it's worse because Grok wants us to live. Grok wants us to live through it. At least the machines in Skynet had the mercy of killing most of humanity, so they didn't have to live through the fucking apocalypse.
Fuck, Elon
this is the thing.
Sucks so hard.
He sucks so bad, dude. He's literally promoting white supremacist horseshit on his Twitter this week. Like, I just do not fucking understand the ebullience, how this guy is not recognized as the fucking war criminal that he is, responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths, hundreds of thousands of job losses from his time at Doge. And it turns out clearly what they were doing at Doge, as some reporting suggested at the time, what he was there for was the data. Because as we can see in this story from 404 Media, what they are doing, these tech bros, is harvesting all of this data that the government has on all of its citizens and feeding it into AI models in order to target people for deportations via ICE. So what Doge really was not an effort to save a bunch of money. In fact, a lot of analysis says that based on broken contracts and all these sorts of things, it might have actually cost the American taxpayer several $100 million more than it otherwise would have had Doge not have existed.
Curse you,
that was clearly not the point. Big Balls was not there to save your money. Big Balls was there to take your data. And there was reporting about this at the time that Elon Musk and his guys had basically unrestricted access to, important federal finance data that the government has on its citizens. And you go, why do they want that? Why are they making big transfers of data out of this system? And here we have the reason as to why that might be occurring is because Palantir is using this data to help find illegal immigrants. And it's not too much of a stretch to imagine that illegal immigrants might turn into Democrats, might turn into members of the queer community, might turn into, fucking anyone left-leaning. It's real thought crime shit that's happening now. So Palantir is working on a tool which has been deployed in beta, from what I understand it, for immigration and customs enforcement that populates a map with potential deportation targets, brings up a dossier on each person, individuals, and provides a confidence score on the person's current address. 404 Media has learned ICE is using it to find locations where lots of people it might detain could be based.
Palantir is the scariest thing around at the moment.
Yeah.
I think it's not talked about enough.
Palantir is this is, again, sort of backed by Peter Thiel and, was also a member of the PayPal mafia along with Elon Musk. These guys are doing a tech bro takeover of the federal government for the purposes of not just enriching themselves, but creating this new kind of Curtis Yarvin, techno-feudalism, fucking hellscape world that they've been dreaming about and masturbating over since they were weird fucking teenage pieces of shit, right? This is like 1984. Orwell could not have described a panopticon to this level because the technology simply did not exist. It was like there were like in the novel 1984, it's like there were cameras in every television and then someone was watching you all the time. But it's like if you were away from the television and like that was it. It's like now it's like we live in a permanent panopticon where all of us has multiple devices with cameras and microphones on us, around us, with us at all times, following us, tracking us, feeding information potentially to the government that can be used to track not just our movements, but our thoughts, our feelings, our disposition. And there's no way that this is not going to be used to crack down on dissidents. I'd put money on it that in the next 3 years, this tool or a tool like this is going to be used to take all of this big unstructured data that they've got from the government and use it to target civilians for the purposes of executing fascism. Like, I really don't think it's a stretch for me to say that at this point.
No.
The difference, like, to keep in mind, the US has, to some extent, monitored its own civilians for decades now. The NSA, that's like their main job.
Yes, but you couldn't do it at scale like this for every single citizen. That's the thing that, yes, we've had big data. Yes, there was the PRISM program that Edward Snowden talked about where, the NSA was harvesting data on millions of people. But the limiting factor was like they could only do so much.
They couldn't process it.
They couldn't look at every single piece of information because there simply were not enough people in existence to do that. With AI, that's no longer a problem, right?
Yeah.
And I love AI. This is the thing. I love AI for productivity. This is, for writing content, for text work, in a professional context, AI is a game changer for productivity. It really is. This is not chill. This is not what it's for, guys.
This is one of the reasons I do my absolute best unless I absolutely have to. I try not to get my groceries at Coles anymore because Coles, this happened maybe at the start of last year or in 2024. Well, no, the Woolies have I assume Woolies are doing something, but at least publicly
which
Coles
of the two
signed a deal with Palantir.
Shit! What?
They have.
I know they've got the cameras at the checkout.
Coles specifically, and this happened maybe 18 months ago. So I only found out about this maybe 6 months ago, but a year earlier. But they have partnered with Palantir for data collecting, monitoring purposes. Unclear what those are, but they are watching everything you buy, I guess, in a supermarket. We all go to the supermarket.
Tom, I hate to break it to you.
So all that sort of stuff.
Every supermarket is collecting data on all of this sort of stuff. Presumably for the purposes of
Palantir.
The Palantir aspect is scary.
So that's where I'm like, no, you partnered with Palantir. That's what I'm protesting against. I know you are. Everything's collecting my data. If I protested against everything that collected my data, I would have to live out Adam's dream and go into the woods and just be completely off grid. Yeah. But
thinking of the woods are good.
Thinking of the woods.
I yearn for the woods.
Coles specifically picked Palantir. And I'm
weird.
Palantir is evil.
That's a vibe.
Why would they do that?
No.
Why would they do that? Look,
they're great at crunching data. What can I say? They're great at it.
Yeah, Woolies is tracking probably everything I do, but they're not handing it to Palantir, to my knowledge, at time of
as far as you know. Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that if everyone looks at China and goes, "Oh, their mass surveillance system is
totalitarian state. They've got a Uyghur. They've got a social credit system. They've got a." It's like, bro, this is way worse than that.
This is worse than that. This is giving them a target list. This is like,
hi Hal, would you like some minorities to target?
And this is the kind of thing that in 1930s Germany, not with this kind of system, but with the same objectives, motivations, and I guess the same rigor. They developed lists in a different way, obviously.
It's the Stasi on fucking tech steroids.
Correct. Yeah. And the worst part about this is it's already live. It's in beta. They're using it now. Yeah. It's not like this is some future thing they're working towards which we can stop. It's already here. Here's the best part. It's called Elite, which there's so many layers to that. What's it stand for again?
Enhanced leads identification and targeting for enforcement.
Doesn't say what kind of enforcement.
They really wanted that Elite acronym.
Yes, they're working hard on that.
It is, like Minority Report, like in real life.
Yeah, except you don't need any weird ladies in a goo pool. Like you can still just computers.
And so the kind of data they've got is like they'll take in all the government data. They'll give the users a there's two modes. There's like the general like map, and then there's like if you want to go after there's spicy mode if you want to go after the high value targets.
Which just goes after Mexicans.
Yeah. But it'll give you dates of birth, photos, and importantly addresses, right? And it'll give a what do they call it? A score. What's it called? A confidence score.
Yeah.
Out of whatever it is, 100, and that will basically be based on where the data's come from, and also how recent it was,
how reliable, all that sort of stuff. And so
they're able
obviously
to
with
just
AI
write
systems.
People's addresses.
With AI systems, you have to remember none of this stuff is going to be 100% correct all the time. So there will very likely be people that are targeted, and included on lists like this that are simply not eligible to be on those lists either. Like there's just going to be
no oversight.
Are going to be a fucking dragnet of like random fucking citizens caught up in it. Like to say that this is a civil rights abuse does not quite capture the scope and the breadth of what's happening. Like,
no, this is an Orwellian totalitarian tool.
We've put the Constitution. We've put the Constitution in a shredder and taken a big shit on it. That's what's happened.
And this is being used apparently in protest. And there's the situation in Minneapolis and Minnesota is continuing. Waltz is going to get prosecuted apparently. Like Trump was like umming and ahhing about pulling the insurrection clause in the he's not going to do that now.
They're using this facial recognition app for ground operations. ICE is in Minnesota and other places. Like
we've surged
full fucking
ICE agents into those areas. Yeah, it's not good. And look, if you want to see what that looks like when the population really arcs up, cut to Iran. We talked about last week that the protests had ramped up and there were several hundred people killed. There are now somewhere between 2,500 to 6,000 people that have been killed.
I saw some groups saying as high as 12,000. An opposition group outside the country said. So we're talking in the thousands. There's multiple 9/11s worth of people potentially that have been murdered by the regime in cold blood. Yeah.
Not to mention the people that have been arrested, which is tens of thousands more. Now, the people that have been arrested, they face the death penalty, and little to no oversight on that because it's happened so quickly. The internet's turned off.
That they've blocked communications out of the country, easy communications out of the country.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff trickling.
Not Skynet.
Starlink. Oh my God, that's a hilarious Freudian slip. That's amazing. That's so good.
I mean,
Starlink has been re-enabled allegedly into Iran now.
That's how we're getting any information out, apparently.
Yeah. So say what you want to Elon Musk, but at least that's
And
I guess he's all right now.
Oh yeah, I guess the fucking child sexual abuse material gets evened out by the internet access.
All right, we better keep a list of this. We go, all right, you
pros and cons.
You disseminate child sex abuse material. That's going to be at least one restore internet to a country in turmoil to balance that out. Otherwise, it's not
these
fair.
tech bros, like when when Facebook, Zuckerberg, there was this report that talked about how Facebook and the use of Facebook was at least partially responsible for the genocide of the Rohingya in Myanmar. Several years ago. And he was just like, mistakes were made and we're trying to fix things and blah, blah, blah. If I made a product that inadvertently created billions of terabytes of, child sexual abuse material or created a genocide, I would fucking kill myself. Like, I would not be able to live with it. Like, that would be brain-breaking for me to know that I created that much harm in the world for the purposes of enriching myself. I would immediately fucking fall on my sword and die. Like, it would just be, all right, well, we fucked up, George. We've only got one life to live, and you really fucked it up. We're just walking out into the sea. I guess that's the only fucking conclusion that I can draw from what I have done. And these tech billionaire bro fascists are just like, got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, I guess. It's just, sometimes you do a genocide. You got to move fast and break things.
And look, I mean, you could argue to some extent, given these are the biggest protests in the world and that Iran has a relatively young population, I mean, there is an argument to say that social media and mass communication, even though it is heavily censored in Iran, is partly to blame perhaps for some of this.
Well, they said that about the Arab Spring as well. And I mean, but look how it all turned out. So it was great. It's not like it was a wellspring of democracy. It was just a wellspring of fucking failed states, right?
The Syrian government's now fighting the Kurdish people after, anyway.
Yeah, Libya has entered the chat,
Anyway. Now, Donald Trump, of course, said that there would be consequences and he was looking at options. And don't worry, help is on the way was the text.
Help is on the way.
The tweet that he sent out, which, again, I don't know how that might have emboldened some of the protesters. If they saw that, I don't know. But
how can they see it? They haven't got fucking internet.
What about the post they have clipped here from Trump saying, Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions.
Yeah. Lindsey Graham is so fucking hard over here. Lindsey Graham has had an erection for 4 days, 2 regimes in 2 months. He can't even handle it anymore. He's going to have to go see a doctor. I've never seen anything like it. It's incredible.
Anyway, so Trump's no longer doing that because allegedly the executions that were scheduled to take place aren't taking place now because of the US threats of intervention and therefore everything's chill.
Oh, good.
I find the fact the US, and it's they did the same thing in Syria when Obama was in power, to be fair, this concept of we will step in. Here's a red line, and if you cross it, we'll
to be fair, the Obama red line thing was not. I just recently read Samantha Power's book, The Education of an Idealist. She was one of his foreign policy advisors, and she talks about this in a section in her book. And reading back,
should never have made a red line.
Well, it wasn't really supposed to be a red line. The way he kind of talked about it was as an aside in a speech, saying that we're going to, help to defend the people.
Upon by the
but it was seized upon as this defining thing. Well, you've said red line.
He should never have said it. He should never have.
He shouldn't have said it. But it's it wasn't like he stepped out there and said, hey guys, new policy. We're instituting a red line. If Syria uses chemical weapons against their own people, we're sending troops in. Because that's not what he said. He was it's going to be a red line. We're going to have to do something if that happens. And then people were like, oh, well, red line means you fucking send in the F-16s, right? Let's fucking go, boots on the ground. And then he looks like a hypocrite. But it's that was not the intention of what he was talking about in that speech.
It's not the policy.
It's not the policy of the United States.
It was him ad-libbing.
It shouldn't have been said, but yes.
The point being is here, the problem with this dick first mentality that Trump has in situations like this.
Do you say dick first?
Yes, dick first.
The long dick of the law. Yes.
It's dick boat diplomacy.
Dick boat diplomacy.
It's not gunboat diplomacy.
Don dick diplomacy.
It is not gunboat diplomacy because that implies
boats.
Well, some thought behind it. It's dick boat diplomacy at the moment because it's really just about waving his dick around because it's fucking rock hard at the moment after Venezuela.
As Theodore Roosevelt said, walk softly and carry a big stick. And Trump's taken the opposite approach, which is, have a small dick and stomp loudly around.
Yeah. Anyway, my point being here is that anything... By Trump saying threats and not having a consistent position, it actually means more people probably die in Iran.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same reason Canada just announced a deal, an economic trade deal with China. It drives your allies further away when you act like a fucking loose unit and do whatever you want and change your mind all the time and sanctions and no sanctions and sanctions, incredible sanctions, 100% sanctions, 10% sanctions. That doesn't make your friends like you more. You can bully people around like that once and then they're going to start finding other friends, right? It's not actually conducive to Americans being the global hegemon anymore because eventually people start getting pissed off and finding alternatives.
Yeah. And speaking of, that kind of thing, Trump has now said that he's going to tariff Europe basically because they're not willing at this stage to give him Greenland. So they met with Danish representatives. It did not go well. And now the next step in his toolkit is, well, I guess I'll tariff them to 25%, I think is the number that he's throwing around. So this is Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, United Kingdom, Netherlands, and Finland would face the tariff. Now, in response to that, those countries have now started dumping troops in Greenland by the hundreds and for training exercises.
Because it's a NATO, sort of aligned territory through Denmark. So it's this would unwind the whole NATO alliance, like the whole.
Oh, it'd be the end of NATO. Yeah,
the whole regional power base.
Putin's just going, I was right. Like it's just. Yep. Anyway, I can't.
Vladimir, did you fucking see this? Bro, it fucking worked. We didn't even do this. He did this himself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, his biggest useful idiot is once again proving he's an idiot and he's useful.
The most useful idiot ever to have lived, Donald Trump.
I mean, I don't know. This is me going full conspiratorial brain here, but back in 2016, when they were talking to the Russians, not talking, but sort of talking to the Russians, and his relationship with Putin.
It's always been weird. And we really think with all the shit that's been coming out with the Epstein stuff since December, where there's all of these many myriad more interactions between Donald Trump and Epstein and all of these people that he's protecting and trying to give cover for. Do we really think that the Russian government doesn't have anything on Donald Trump? There's so much, we know publicly he was friends with the world's most wealthy, notorious pedophile who had eyes wide shut parties. Do you see the fucking party at Mar-a-Lago, which was some weird eyes wide shut mask party for the ultra rich? I was like, you're not even trying not to look like a global cabal of billionaire pedophiles at this stage. You're just leaning into the fucking eyes wide shut of it all, aren't you? Do we really think that the Russians had nothing on Donald Trump? Really?
I mean, yeah.
This is what we know publicly about the interactions between Trump and Epstein and all the people on the fuck island, right? This is what's publicly available.
All I would say is that since Donald Trump has been in power, the unified stance that NATO has previously had and the consistent, predictable, strategic way in which they have been able to deal with
as a counterbalance to Russia.
And it came out to Russia, even if they didn't necessarily need to at certain parts of the 90s, but whatever.
Well, obviously they did, because flash forward to now, obviously they were fucking right to do it.
Has been the fact has systematically started to unwind that is, I mean, you can say what you want about civil liberties in the US and stuff, but the fact he's willing to basically fuck the West and the millions of people in Europe. I can't.
There's no good strategic reason for it. Vladimir Putin could not have designed a better plan for what the US is going through right now.
I can't. Yeah. It's so monumentally stupid.
Yeah.
It's not even there's no.
Adam's got this 1,000-yard stare going, his soul is just leaving his body as he's talking about this.
It's not even that there's the tactics and strategy. It's not like he's looking at some short-term goal and not thinking the Greenland thing. Literally, even as a short-term goal, Venezuela, get some oil, great. Get rid of Maduro, get a internal political win, great. There is literally no reason. There's no short-term reason, no long-term reason for the United States to own Greenland, apart from dick boat diplomacy. I've got a big dick, and I want to use it.
I mean, there's this post from Isabel Sophie on Instagram,
it's just ego,
which talks about this, and I don't know, this sounds like a pretty credible theory as to why this might be happening. Okay, so Praxis is an organization.
Well, data center bullshit.
Okay,
I don't know.
This is a theory. Okay, this is the only thing I've seen that makes sense to me as to why Greenland is on the menu, and he's wanted it since 2017. This is not a new thing. This is a thing he's talked about repeatedly over the years, right? So there's this company, Praxis, which is a startup funded by American billionaires and Trump backers, such as J.D. Vance's patron, shall we say, Peter Thiel, and OpenAI Sam Altman. The aim is to create freedom cities outside of democratic regulations and managed by a, quote, king CEO leading citizen shareholders. This is the Curtis Yarvin stuff that I was talking about, right? This is the guy who's the intellectual underpinning of this whole, like, techno-feudalist, we don't need democracy anymore. Peter Thiel is all about this shit, right? In 2023, Praxis founder Dryden Brown went to Greenland to attempt buying it, or at least a sizable chunk of it, without success. He said in 2025, quote, "We think Greenland is a very interesting place. We view it as one of the last frontiers on Earth." He spoke for many. In April of 2025, Reuters reported that tech investors in Silicon Valley were, quote, "promoting the frozen island as a site for a so-called freedom city, a libertarian utopia with minimal regulation." Since then, Ken Bowery, who co-founded a venture capital firm with his buddy, Peter Thiel, has been appointed the US ambassador to Denmark with the express order to lead Greenland acquisition negotiations. Praxis reacted to the news by posting on Twitter. So Ken Howery will be ambassador to Denmark. This is a tweet. And Praxis, the organization, tweets according to plan in response. So this is literally the plot of the BioShock video games, like where we are going to create a freedom city, which is all about completely unregulated techno-feudalism where free thinkers and libertarians can do exactly what they want. And the lesson of the game is no, you can't, because the whole thing turns into a fucking shit fight where everyone murders each other. And you, a survivor, or a brainwash, not spoilers for the game that's 20 years old, are actually another agent that's having to fight through this chaos in order to kill one billionaire on behalf of another billionaire, right? So,
yeah,
without knowing about it. These are documented facts. We know that they want Greenland. We know that they're wanting to establish these freedom cities. We know that we know that these large tech conglomerates are acquiring large swathes of land in California for these exact same purposes, to create these industry towns, these freedom cities. Mark Zuckerberg was part of that. I remember, I think it was ProPublica reported it out at the time, that these shadowy shell corporations are acquiring large tracts of land all over the Americas, and people don't know exactly why. And the purpose is for creating these freedom cities, right? So-called freedom cities. I don't think it's too conspiratorial to think that all of these billionaires whom we know are aligned with Trump and Trump allies, people like J.D. Vance, are wanting, like, this is the only theory to me that makes any sense as to why Trump would want to acquire Greenland.
But the point being is,
I don't know if they acquire if their method, if their motivations are exactly this.
Even if they acquire it, the US government, it still becomes a US territory. Which is the same as just
it doesn't, unless they don't annex it, unless they just have it as some sort of, Guantanamo Bay, sort of external protectorate where the laws are whatever we say they are and anything fucking goes. And as global warming increases, as Greenland becomes more green and less icy, maybe this is a retreat. This is somewhere where the billionaires can go when the world fucking collapses. And all of these resources, all of these minerals, all of these things that are sitting under the ground in Greenland that might be worth.
They've got the seed vaults and stuff in Greenland, but and
that's in Svalbard, which is it's not on Greenland, I think, but it's close to Greenland. It's but anyway, the point is like, if you are looking for a place in the world that is untrammeled, where you can create your own fucking techno-utopian fascist society, you could find worse options than Greenland. Zuckerberg and other billionaires have set up bunkers in places like New Zealand, where they intend to go.
New Zealand's big for that. Yeah.
When the world collapses, because New Zealand's really fucking far away from everything, right? This is not fucking crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy brain shit anymore. There are people out there openly talking about this stuff, and the fact that it's not like a major news story is crazy to me. Like, the fact that we're just like, Trump wants Greenland, nobody knows why. It's like, we got some ideas.
Anyway, so that's been the depressing week this week, plus many more things that we didn't get to talk about. But yeah, I feel really good on the inside. I'm probably going to go and have another wine, and everything will be fine.
Another glass of wine does help.
I need a first glass of wine and then a second glass of wine, so I can have another glass of wine after that. You forgot the story about Trump forgetting that he promised the American people a bunch of money from his tariffs, which comes into sharp relief considering he's just announced new tariffs.
promised $2,000 checks to Americans based off of your tariff revenues. When can
I did do that.
I did do that. When did I do that? Where am I? Who are you again? What's going on?
When did I do that?
Well, I mean, you're
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, I did 1776 for the
Get it? 1776. Don't tread on me, baby.
military, right?
When will those Americans get those checks?
Well, I am going to. The tariff money is so substantial that's coming in that I'll be able to do 2,000 sometime, I would say, toward the end of the year.
Sometime towards everything's a couple weeks. Something. And what about that $5,000 check, the Doge savings check that everyone was going to receive? What happened to that, Donald? I did that.
See, I'd forgotten about that one, but I just thought I'd crunch the numbers on that real quick because, like, hang on, he's announced that every American gets $2,000. And
this tariff money that they're getting, they've spent it 20 times over on different shit that they've promised.
I'm not taking into account like will children get it or not or whatever. But at the current US population of about 341 million people and $2,000 each, my napkin math told me that was like $682 billion.
It's almost like it's a complete fucking lie, Tom. It's almost like it's complete nonsense.
That is so much money. I don't know what they've been claiming the profits or revenue of these tariffs.
The tariffs is like in the tens of billions. Like I think it's like something 60 billion was something. That was the last number I saw, somewhere around there. So like
682 billion with a B dollars to give every person in the US $2,000.
Yeah, and don't forget the subsidies that he's giving to the soybean farmers and all these to bail them out of the economic crisis that he's caused for them. And say, don't worry, we're going to pay you out of the tariffs, and we need a ballroom. Can I get some tariff money for that? Like, he's spent this like $60 billion worth of tariff money fucking 10 times over already. And everyone's just going, it seems like an economic genius as far as I'm concerned.
The worst part about it is that...
The worst? We haven't done the worst part?
No, but like...
My heart's going at 1:30.
From an international political point of view, they've sort of worked to a certain extent in that Trump did get some conciliations and some wins out of it.
That's why I said it'll work once.
People bent over backwards for him. Well, he did it back in the last time, and he's done it again. So it's worked twice now, right? People just bend over backwards for these tariffs, and they've given him what he wanted.
And you can do that when you're the global hegemon and you're a bully. But my point stands. You can only do it so much before everyone starts to turn on you, right?
All it's done is just enlarge his inflated ego and dick. Like it's just
as well as his
dick vote,
as his bank account
diplomacy. I'm going to make that stick.
His cryptocurrency. You saw he sold $500 million worth of Maduro's Venezuelan oil and is just storing it in an offshore Qatari bank account. That seems legit.
I didn't see that. I don't think I'm as plugged into the economic output of this as you are, George.
Yeah, just got a little slush fund. It's totally legal. Just a little slushy fund for my boys.
He's gonna die before any of this shit. It doesn't matter. It's about what his legacy is, I guess, for him. But like,
greatest president of all time.
Whenever Trump, we need to stop kowtowing to this guy.
Agreed.
And international leaders like NATO, like Australia, need to start saying, well, I guess AUKUS is dead, or
we're never getting a fucking submarine. Well, I sent you guys that post. We're sending, I think it's like this year, we're sending another $9.4 billion over to the US to say, we're never getting a fucking submarine. I don't know what the fuck. This is, Polyverse says tariffs equals infinite money glitch. The other infinite money glitch, Polyverse? The fucking AUKUS submarine program, where we're just sending pallets of cash to the Americans for submarines we know for a fact are never going to fucking arrive. That's the infinite money glitch. Fucking hell.
These NATO countries need to, if they somehow try and back down from this to try and ease the tariff situation, then they're digging their own grave in terms of NATO. If there's any hope of NATO being salvaged, they need to stand up to him and force his hand, because it's not like Donald Trump can't be reasoned with. Like he's situations like Iran, like he's realized that the cost of going in would be worse than... I
don't know if he's even at the wheel, dude. I think it's just advisors, of different factions of advisors battling each other. There's
maybe it is.
There's the JD Vance, faction. There's the Stephen Miller faction. There's the Steve Bannon faction. They're all, and it's just about who's got his ear last. The Christian Nationalist faction. the Candace Owens tinfoil hat, complete conspiracy brained, fucking faction. There's the Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes faction. It's literally just
Maha faction.
Whichever faction has got his ear at that particular moment and can make an argument that he sees as good and justifiable. Because I don't know if Trump knows about all of this Greenland shit. He's just like, I want to own Greenland. I want my name on it. But clearly Peter Thiel and other tech billionaires that are pulling the strings behind the scenes have intentions for Greenland. And if Trump is a useful enough idiot that he goes and gets it for them, then they will have their designs realized. I don't think Trump really knows what the fuck's going on. He's an 80-year-old man who's on the verge of sundowning. He doesn't even fucking remember he promised $2,000 checks. He doesn't remember that? That was weeks ago.
Yeah.
I did the MRI. They did a health checkup. I aced the cognitive tests. No bad can happen. Only can good happen. The man's losing his fucking mind.
That was actually a CAT scan.
The MRI. What do they MRI you for, Donald? I don't know, but I fucking nailed it. So brain. I'm going to assume brain if that's the case. What a fucking moron. Oh. All right, I need to go and do like a 1 hour sensory deprivation tank. I need to just drop a fucking gummy or something. I really need to come down from this because I cannot bring this energy into dinner with my toddler. I need to find a way to decompress in the next 22 minutes. On that note,
conveniently the length of your average Simpsons episode.
There you go. On that note, we have been, we are, and we always will be Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Make sure you follow us on all the bullshit social medias that are ruining the world, that have, do, or ever will exist at our handle at Unnatural Show. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at George Tsipos.
You can follow me on Threads at tom.heath. I don't post much there, but you can.
And you can follow me to the woods because it's just looking like the best option at this point.
Honestly, I would join some kind of Robin Hood and his merry men, led by Adam into the woods. I'd jump on there.
Oh, that sounds like a cult. I'm just
you're describing a cult.
Myself.
You just accurately described a cult.
I was just imagining marching through the woods and just singing a jolly song, like that.
Just like the National Socialist Network are probably going to be doing.
Oh no! Yeah. Oh shit!
Oh, merry man!
They're off to the wood. They're off online. They can't be online anymore. So I guess the only choice for them is to go to the woods and hang out around a campfire.
They're gonna touch grass so hard.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll love your faces. We'll see you next week, provided the world hasn't disintegrated. We're getting there. This is the it could happen here. It's happening. The thing is happening. I don't want to be the thing could. It's happening here, guy, where I just say it's happening. But every week I see myself saying it's happening.